Hi, everybody. Welcome to Reality Buzz TV. Guys, listen, it's been a while, but I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Today, there is an interview that was posted on the Basement podcast. We have been waiting for that interview for I think, full 2 weeks because they had posted photos of them being together, Mpulelelo, no fly motion, a while ago. And I was like, yes, okay, they're going to do an interview with Mpulelelo. I knew the interview was not going to be as exciting as the interview with Kasne, and I was right, it's not. But still, there are things to talk about, okay, because it still is Mpulelelo Mseleku, and we've just finished watching Ingane's Tembo, so obviously there are things that would be interesting to hear him talk about, and the whole experience of him being on a reality show, and yeah, I was looking forward to it, okay, even though I was managing my expectations, okay. Listen, you guys, the Basement podcast is still a small podcast, but yeah, bayeza, guys, bayeza, okay? I think I like Fly Motion better as a stand-up comedian. Of course, he does a lot more than being a stand-up comedian, but I seem to enjoy him more there. Quick podcast, guys. I don't wanna say ukuthi uyangibhora kodwa uyangibhoranyana, yabo. So the interview is not boring. It's like at certain points you have to wait for them to actually, talk about things that are exciting. There was a moment where I felt like, is this Mpumelelo interview or is this Snare interview? Listen, whether you like Snare or hate Snare, you have to admit to Snare iboza. Okay, when it comes to Ingane Zakamselegu, Snare iboza when it comes to the reality TV show or the reality TV shows Zakamselegu. Go and watch what happened to that podcast after she did that interview with them. Okay, go and watch. You'll see what was Usne. So they obviously just had to touch on Usne, but it was strange also that they are touching on Usne, but not a lot on the other siblings. It's almost like Usne is the only other sibling that Mpumelelo has Kamseliku. But they talk about Usne, they talk about Sne's relationship with her father, they talk about Sne's um a being situation that she went through as a child. So for a moment, I was like, okay, are you here to talk about Usne? But yeah, you guys, we'll get into that in terms of what he said in Pomelelo when it comes to Usne. But there was a moment where I was like, is this a Pomelelo interview or is this a Sne interview? So listen, muvumeni nje uSne iboza, okay? Niyamthanda nimthande niyoze nimthande, okay, bayoze bathi bhuti enganeni fanele leyo nto ishiwo Sne kahle kahle. So right at the beginning, you guys, they do talk about something that is very interesting, which is Umpumelelo, what he is up to. Okay, we've heard Umpumelelo talk about the fact that he's into the security business thing, and the trucks for me were the first time that he's talking about he's in the trucking business, because the last time I heard about anything that had to do with the trucks, it was Ulwandle that was talking about being in the trucking business. And what else did he say? Okay, of course he's doing reality shows, and then the soccer. Okay. I have always thought there was something shady about Mpumelelo and this soccer situation, because he was on the show Uthando Nesithembu, and they made a big deal about him being selected to go play for this big soccer team in Johannesburg. And I was like, I remember even back then, I was like, guys, do you think he's that good? You know? And in my mind, I didn't think it's possibly because his father had connections. That's why he was selected. But there was just something fun about it. I was like, I wonder if he's that good. So we waited and waited and waited to see Mpumelelo's career kwi-soccer, you know, phela simbone noma kwi-TV mhlawumbe edlala noma imesha eyodwa or something at some point, but yavele nje yaphela emoyeni indaba yesoccer. So he does talk about that, you guys. He says that he went to play for the team, but for him it was like he was playing for the family team. Okay, I thought he was about to say ukuthi Mseleku owns that soccer team, and then he corrected it and said, no, it's not like his father owns the team, but the people that own or manage the team have a relationship with his father. So That's how he ended up there. Okay, so it makes sense, you guys, that it doesn't make sense that they made such a big deal about him being selected, because it's like he wasn't really selected because of his skills, you know. But it makes sense that yonke into ife because kusho ukuthi he wasn't really that good anyways, because when he got there he didn't even play that much. He says he got there and then he was assisting the management, whatever. So for me, I like the fact that they talked about that, because I just didn't understand, if you were so passionate about soccer and you were so good at it that you ended up being selected for this team, then what happened, you know? And we were not hearing anything about Mpumelo playing soccer. We're only hearing about Mpumelo playing these women out here, okay? So I did like the fact that they're talking about that. And then you guys, they get into talking about all of the businesses that Mpumelo is involved in. Listen, you guys, I am yet to see anything that shows what Mpumelo really does, does have all of these businesses. I'm not saying that he's lying, but I just want to see more, you know, on it. So because I think his girlfriends have sort of given us clues that this guy doesn't have some money. Okay, so if you have all of these businesses, are you making money from it? Okay, so maybe eventually we will see it on in Ghanaian's table. I don't know, but it was interesting that he does so many different things. Okay, but I like the fact that he does admit to guys that the fact that his father, he has his father's surname, does, open certain doors for him. Now they get into talking about Osne, which I didn't understand, but I mean, I still appreciated hearing that, because quite honestly, Mpumerelo's life is boring when you're not talking about his relationships. Okay, he doesn't have anything exciting except, and I haven't got to that point in the interview where he's talking about Vuyo, Tirelo, Viko Bani. I'm still waiting for it. So if they didn't talk about Osne, it was just really going to be a boring ass interview. Okay. I actually think that the basement podcast should have called Usne and interviewed her, because they seem to be more interested in what's going on with Usne. So listen, you guys. Of course, the Umpumela had to explain the whole thing of your relationship between Usne and Babwake, which we already know about it, because Usne did her own interview and told us herself how that relationship is like. He did the whole thing of saying he is the one that is like a referee between the dad and Usne. And I was like, it's funny how we have never seen it on the show, but okay, if you say so, we believe you. He says he is the one that is a referee. In fact, he's the one that asked his father to accept Usne back, to a point where when Usne is doing something wrong, his father will be telling him. And I'm like, you are sounding like Macele right now. I was like looking at the TV, like, is this Macele or is this Pumelelo? Because that is what Macele does. Okay, we've seen her do it on the show. I have not, guys. Like, if I've missed it, like, tell me. Okay, I felt like, for me, I've always felt like the other siblings don't really care that much about what happens with the relationship and her father. In fact, some of them looks like they enjoy the fact that she doesn't get along with her father. So I haven't seen any of them try and fix a relationship between the two of them. So there was new for me to hear Mpumelelo say he's actually the one that has tried to make Osne and her father make peace with each other. I'm like, okay, if you want to take credit, that's fine, so, yes, you guys, I'm like in the middle of the interview, and I'm like, it's not going to be a very exciting interview, but I'm still watching it, because I'm like, we are already halfway through, and all you've talked about and what you do. And he also talks about the whole experience of shooting a reality show, how it was like when as a family. And then he talks about us, and we're halfway through the interview. I'm like, I was waiting for bombs or something. Okay. Anyway, you guys, that's all that I wanted to talk about on this video. I'll do another video to talk about what happens with the rest of the interview. But listen, Muvumeni Usne Iboza of the reality show Mseleku. If they're not paying Usne more than the others right now, I don't get it. Okay, I don't get it. Usne next season, I'll be like, listen, I am signing. If they're getting 25,000 that they were talking about there by Vuyo, Remember, I heard that they were paid 25,000 rands a season, which is a rip-off because that show makes a lot of money, I'm sure. So somebody said, okay, in some voice notes, yeah, but in my voice notes, somebody said that Vuyo was going to be paid 100,000 to do her own show, but owning as assembly, she was getting 25,000. If that's true, they are being ripped off. That's nothing. I mean, how many episodes do we get? 12 episodes. They actually make that money with one episode, okay? So I hope they negotiate better for themselves the next season. But whatever it is that they negotiate for themselves, Ned deserves double that because, listen, she does make the show, okay? Maybe her and Mpulelelo. And I suspect that Mpulelelo gets more anyway. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like it before Pumegona, share it with your friends, with your family, and even with strangers. Ngintanda kakhulu.